Welcome to DIYEasyCrafts.com, how to make a custom branding logo for any standard wood burning tool. Now I got the idea to make this after buying a set of letter stamps for my wood burning tool. The letter stamps worked absolutely perfectly. They made a decent logo, but I wanted to craft something that was a little bit more unique. And I do a lot of nautical crafts. I wanted to add a little anchor into the design. And I wanted to design it so that it would mount onto that same standard wood burning tool. So I started on my computer. I created a couple of different designs, finalized the one that I liked, went to my nephew's machine shop and borrowed or took a piece of 1.5-inch brass. You don't need a big bar like that. You could use any piece of brass or any piece of aluminum. It doesn't have to be thick at all. Probably a 1/4 inch thick would be fine. I also went to a craft store and bought some clear transfer film. I'm going to trace that logo directly onto the transfer film just with a fine-tipped Sharpie marker. The process takes a few minutes. Just be as careful as you can and get it as accurate as possible. Once the logo is completely transferred, so that every line is on that transfer film, that film can then be peeled and attached directly to the brass or to the aluminum that you're going to work with. The neat thing about using this technique is that we're going to use a dremel grinder to kind of groove, cut all the grooves and cut away any material that's not the stamp. That dremel grinder set on a high speed will just cut right through this film. You can leave the film in place. Now we're going to use a variety of different little tools for the dremel grinder. Some tools like this one are really good for getting the straight edges. Other tools, the real small diamond bit tool is great for doing the small slots in between the letters. And this gear-shaped tool worked out really well for doing the lines in between the letters. But basically, we're going to start with the Dremel tool. This block had a little weight to it, so I didn't even have to put this in a vise or clamp it to the workbench at all. If you're utilizing a smaller piece of brass or aluminum, you will have to mount it down. You don't want it wiggling around too much on you. Just very carefully, very slowly, remove some material away from the first letter and then work your way into that line. I'm kind of doing all the outside straight edges kind of first and just slowly grind each one away. I'm using a couple of different strokes with the Dremel, pulling away on some, going side to side on others, depending whether it's a curve or whether it's a straight line. I'm just following the shape, the outline on that transfer film. Right now I'm working at the very bottom of the anchor in the logo. And I was very surprised at how fast this whole process was. I mean, it really took me one night after work, total of an hour and a half or a couple of hours at the most. And this is going to be used on a variety of different woodworking projects. So basically, whenever I craft something out of wood, I'll be able to heat this up and stamp or burn my logo right into that project. Now this is that gear-shaped tool, and I'm just cutting a groove in between the letters. You just have to be real careful. If you're going to be using aluminum, one of the recommendations my friend Jason Northgard gave me was to spray down that tool with WD-40 so that the aluminum is less likely to get all gunked up inside of the tool. This brass, I didn't even need to do it with the brass. The brass ground very, very nicely. And I'm just slowly creating grooves and cutting away any material that is not blackened from the logo. You do need a good light. You do need fairly decent eyes, but other than that, it goes pretty quickly. So almost done now, grinding away that excess material. And you can see now that the logo has a little bit of depth cut around it, probably a 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch down. My original plan was just going to be to chop off, a 1/4 inch of this, drill and tap the back side, but it was just too much material to heat up, especially with a little wood burning tool. I went to my friend Jason Northgard's metalworking shop. He cut the slug down a little bit for me, probably about 1/4 of an inch thick. He did drill and tap the back of it to accommodate just a stud, threaded rod. We basically used the screw and then cut off the head and just sanded it down a little bit. That's how it's going to attach to the wood burning tool. But then he went another step, and he went over to his bandsaw and he cut off all the excess material surrounding that logo. The thought here is that if we reduce the amount of brass, the total size of this logo, it will take less heat, less effort for that wood burning tool to heat this logo up sufficiently to burn the wood. Again, there's nothing difficult about this process. You just have to be a little bit careful. Of course, you don't want to cut through your logo, but as long as you're careful and you take your time, even this process really didn't take more than 15 minutes. Here's just working along one edge. Still working along the side of the anchor, and then he's going to come across one end of the capital B, and again just removing as much excess material as possible so that we don't need that much heat to get this thing up to the desired temperature. The more material you leave in place, the longer it's going to take to heat up. Is basically it. He did grind away a little bit more of the thickness of this piece of brass. He left it thick right in the center where the threads were, and you'll see that in a second for the threaded screw or bolt. But he did reduce the total thickness a little bit more, just with a disc grinder. And this is the finished product. So I've got a logo that's mirror image. I just flipped that over originally on the computer before I transferred it to the film. The stamp itself, or this burning stamp, has a threaded insert or a threaded stud. And once attached to that wood burning tool, let it heat up for 4 or 5 minutes. Test it on a piece of scrap wood before you use it on any one of your finished products. But within a few minutes, you can burn a beautiful custom logo into all of your wood burning projects. A very easy do-it-yourself wood burning logo. Please check us out on the web at DIYEasyCrafts.com. Be sure to check out our other how-to videos. And if you like this video, I ask that you please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this YouTube channel.